Folks, this might end up being the best playoff series we get this year, as the mighty Brooklyn Nets clash with the one team that has, on paper at least, the right personnel to match up with them and their 3 stars. We have to examine the 2 headliners and how they attack, but there are a couple of deeper stats that might give pause to either team's hopes of taking this series, as it seems clear that one of these teams is destined for the NBA Finals. The Nets and Bucks met 3 times this year, with the Bucks winning 2 of them, but it was never when the Nets had Kyrie, KD, and Harden all playing at the same time. And if you were relishing an individual matchup between Giannis and Durant, forget about it. In the regular season at least, these 2 rarely, if ever, guarded each other. While Giannis' numbers were overwhelming in the 3 games, when you look at how they guarded him, it might seem slightly less impressive. With Blake Griffin out there, they opted to just sag off of him by a minimum of 5 feet. And you can see this was a disaster from both outside the arc and at the rim, where Blake was powerless to stop him one-on-one that close. While DeAndre Jordan hasn't played in 9 straight games, I think the Nets are going to have to dust him off since he had slightly more success guarding Giannis than Griffin. Jordan gave him a ridiculous amount of room as well, but he was slightly less three-point happy, content to try and bully his way inside. However, Jordan is longer than Griffin and seemed to affect him down low, preventing him from getting completely to the rim and contesting into tougher shots. But Jordan got lit up as well, so watch for these non-attempts at contesting shots to turn into something a little closer to see if that can shake Giannis off his rhythm. And if he wants to sag that deep and let Giannis get 20 feet of runway going, then this is going to be the result more often than not. On the flip side, it was Middleton, not Giannis, who guarded Durant primarily, and despite there being so much offensive talent for the Nets, it's still all about stopping KD from putting the ball into the bucket. And I gotta say, it didn't work out so well for Middleton. There are basically 3 ways KD will attack him in the Nets offense: ISO, off a pin down, and post up. In isolation, it doesn't appear Middleton will have much success stopping him by himself. While he's got size and length, it doesn't seem to bother KD that much, as he still elevates over him with his high release point to drop mid-rangers in for days. In the post, KD can either face up and use his mid-range game to his advantage the same way as he does in isolation, or he gets lower post position and just hits him with the turnaround, as the Bucks refuse to double him down there. Brook Lopez's defensive position can only be described as sinker, as he sags into the lane as much as is humanly possible, but it leaves him out of position to help on their bread and butter right side pin downs, which allows easy alignment to the hoop since KD is going to his left on the catch. If Middleton gets through the screen okay, he's still behind the 8 ball as KD fakes the pickup into shot, goes between the legs and right by him, catching Lopez sinking into the restricted area, unable to affect this floater. I think the Bucks will have to be really worried KD will try to hunt out better matchups based on his immense size advantage, which reminds me exactly how SeatGeek hunts for the best prices to concerts and sporting events, finding tickets from all over the web and grading the prices to make sure you know you're getting the best deal. It's amazing that we get to see these incredible athletes in person again, and whether you want to chant Brooklyn or Let's Go Bucks, SeatGeek can help find the best available seats. Plus, I can get you $20 off your first purchase using my code BBALL. That's right, forget anyone else's code and use mine by clicking on the link in the description below, and SeatGeek will allow you to roam around the country seeing all your favorite in-person concerts and sporting events. Just like Giannis is allowed to roam the defensive end since he isn't guarding Durant. This approach can work to some degree as Giannis jumps in to help from one pass away and bother the shot big time. On this early attack, Giannis can roam to offer a long contest to this pull-up once Middleton gets beaten off the dribble again. It's possible Coach Budenholzer has been saving the Giannis on KD possessions for the playoffs, and the rare sightings of this matchup did provide clues as to how this will go. KD seemed to relish the opportunity to go at Giannis one-on-one. After forcing the switch on purpose, Durant just dances around out top until he gets a good rhythm going before elevating over the earthbound contest from Giannis. Splash. Late in this game, they force another switch on the handoff, and in one of the more shocking displays of length and athleticism I've seen, Giannis actually blocks KD's legendary pull-up jumper in the lane. but more often than not, KD had his number, flaring off this screen to the weak side and not being bothered by another non-jumping contest to drop this straight through the net from deep. The Bucks are going to have to give out maximum energy on every single possession against Durant in order to stop him, and rely on a little luck as well, considering how effective and efficient he's been against them all season long. Digging deep into the stats, each team has an Achilles heel that the other will undoubtedly try to exploit. With the Nets, it's rebounding. In the regular season, they are ranked 23rd in defensive rebounding percentage, while also ranking 5th in most offensive rebounds given up per game. By playing small so often, their opponents can beat them up after missing the initial shot. Now, the Bucks didn't grab a ton of offensive boards, only ranking 13th in offensive rebounding percentage during the regular season, but in the first round against Miami, it skyrocketed as they continually got second chances against the smaller Heat. You have to imagine the Bucks will continue to exploit this weakness to get more possessions versus the Nets and expect it to be an essential part of their game plan. What's even more concerning from a statistical standpoint is the Bucks' three-point defense. Despite being a top 3 rated defense for years, yet giving up more open threes than anybody in the league, it's finally come back to bite them, as those open threes this year went in at a much higher clip, and it led to their lowest defensive rating rank in years and years. It just so happens the Nets were the second best three-point shooting team in the league this year, with a lot of guys that can stroke it from behind the arc. They can spread you out, get dribble penetration, and find the shooters in the corner if you close out poorly like Middleton did here. The Bucks defense is so determined to stop the ball from getting near the rim that they'll pull Middleton down on the midline of the paint, unable to call out this flare screen for the best shooter in the gym, who gets a wide open jumper on the pass from KD. They also foolishly help one pass away way too often, and I know how important it is to stop KD getting into the lane, but helping off of Kyrie and giving them this easy pass is a recipe for disaster. They do it again with Giannis, who doesn't see that his man is flare screening to the top. PJ Tucker has no idea, and it triggers full scramble mode when the Nets swing to the open man. While the Bucks do have the 3 most capable defenders you'd need to match up with Harden, Durant, and Kyrie, based on what I saw during the regular season, I just don't think it'll be enough now that the Nets have all 3 going at the same time. And the Bucks' three-point defense will most likely allow the Nets role players to get rolling as well, helping Brooklyn overcome their very real defensive issues. Ultimately, I think the Nets will find just enough stops down the stretch in 4 of these games, but it will be a dogfight till the bitter end. With any luck, we'll get an epic Game 7.